Hello? Who's out there? I am armed with literally nothing, but I will smite you and strike you down if you challenge me. Oh, it's you. You're back. Whew, for a moment I thought I'd have to dispose of another body. That would stink up the place for sure. I just cleaned it too. But never mind that. It's good to see you once again. How was the journey? Have you found the truth yet? Figured not. It's hard to accept, you understand what I mean. Even if you don't remember tonight, you will eventually. One of these days, traveler. One of these days. But never mind that. I found a tale that I'm sure you'll find quite comical. Perhaps I've read this one, but I'm almost positive you've never seen this before. It may even be one of my favorites in the entire collection. I won't spoil too much, though I may be bursting at the seams, itching to tell you what I enjoyed about it. This one made me guffaw a number of times. Go on, take a look. Enjoy.
My eyes danced around the room as the candles flickered incessantly. Shadows moved in lockstep with the sway of the fire and cast upon a contrast of spasming light and inky darkness. Who goes next? I asked. A man with a thick beard blinked at me.
We've been waiting on you, Joe.
Shit. That's right. Must have been out of it.
Too much of the potion?
He laughed.
Careful. We're not gonna let you ride your horse home tonight.
Like you aren't feeling it too. You've had twice my fill. Our table erupted with laughter as we raised our cups, toasting over a night of playful banter and drunken storytelling.
Listen, after last time you should know he's a lightweight.
Another man joked.
Give that guy a single pint and he'll be spellbound, talking about how his ex-wife was a conceited witch.
I snickered. It's true, Gerald. She had a wart on her nose and she'd fly away after arguments. If any of you buy me another pint, I might even prove that she kidnaps children.
That's enough out of you. I don't need any more hexes on my tavern.
We are, or perhaps more accurately, were a coven of wizards. We did have a few witches as well at one point, allegedly. After all, the tavern is only half as fun without maidens. We were an inclusive bunch. Then something happened. I don't know how many of us are left. We split up when the screaming started. I haven't stopped running ever since. I'll try to retrace my steps to see where it went wrong, but I'm genuinely left confused in all of this. There were 3 of us at the tavern that night. We started off our gathering with an exchange of knowledge. You know, whenever you discover a new spell or something. We talked a bit about the weather, a bit about forgotten folklore, the usual. Myself, Gerald, and Ivan. Gerald is somehow a friend and an employee at the same time. My relationship with him is odd, but we still exchange courtesies. We're cordial, but honestly, I'm not sure where I stand with him sometimes. He probably has good intentions because I've helped him over the years. I'll leave it at that. Ivan was this gruff figure that always found a way to make me feel weak by comparison. He wouldn't have to say a word. He'd just sit there with his untrimmed beard and glare daggers at you. Teddy bear of a guy, though. I trust him with my life. Gerald named his tavern the Melting Pot, in memory of his late grandfather. The grandfather didn't really have anything to do with it. It was just a name he liked. So Gerald stuck with it out of respect. I mean, what else was it supposed to be called? The Motion Potion? He'd never be caught dead putting that sign up. Too hokey for the taste of these locals. It's too loud of a title. Our folks like to indulge in secrecy. The Melting Pot is probably the closest thing we have to discreet. You could conduct your business there. perhaps have a few slip-ups and never have to deal with the consequences. I keep losing my footing though. Gotta stay on track. After the initial pleasantries and introductory shenanigans, we started drinking. I'm not talking about a social sipping sessions. We were taking gulps and genuinely impairing our motor functions. Wholly dubious. I'd never recommend it. Not that it mattered to us. Gerald hooked us up with top shelf liquor because nobody else was around and, well, he owned the damn place. It smelled like accelerated decay and tasted like goblin hair, but Jesus, did it warm me up. So, anyways, we were sitting in a dimly lit booth in the corner of the main area. Ivan started dealing sentient playing cards while Gerald poured us another glass. Upon seeing the cards, Gerald sighed.
We really couldn't play with regular cards? I get that we're wizards and all, but not everything we touch has to be magical.
Not everyone that looks at Medusa has to turn to stone, and yet they do.
A scraggly voice said, emanating from somewhere in my hand.
Yeah, well, your mom turned me to stone.
Gerald fired back. Ivan let out a coarse laugh and I adjusted the placement of my fingers on the cards, wondering if they had mouths or just were able to talk without them. Looks like we might be missing 2 or 3 cards from the deck. We still good to...
Yeah, we're all good.
So,
Ivan piped up.
did you guys hear about what happened to the other bar a little a ways down the road?
I looked at him plainly. No. Do enlighten me, though.
You're gonna crack up when you hear this.
So apparently they got broken into recently. The owner comes back at dawn and he sees the glass shattered, bottles smashed, and booze all over the place. News story drops the next day. Local bar in shambles. The new rumor about the supposed moonshine mage. You fucking believe that?
He's a fucking asshole if he's real. I swear to God, it's always something with this town.
I mean, am I gonna have to start leaving carnations in the parking lot? Like, how do I even defend against that? We don't really have law enforcement here, so it's kind of a stand your ground area.
You'd probably want to invest in better security if that guy's wandering around.
Most of the night was banter between us and the cards. God, the sentient deck was really starting to get on my nerves after I had enough to drink. They were witty little sons of bitches. We'd be talking about something completely random and they dropped something philosophical right in the middle of it, completely interrupting our train of thought. I recall at one point talking about trying to enchant my flask to make the whiskey endless. You know, a party trick. You chug it in front of your friends and the gotcha moment is that the whiskey just keeps coming. One of the cards pipes up and says,
Have you considered that you just have a problem?
as if that was a valid criticism at all.
Sometimes you try to lead a horse to water, but you make the mistake of putting it in his drink. And suddenly, he wants to kick you.
Yeah, well, I was on the verge of ripping that Queen of Hearts in half. I didn't say it though. No use in souring the mood. But as it turned out, I wouldn't need to ruin anything. That much would be done for me as a loud knock made us all jump. Ivan glanced between us, eyes widened.
You think that's him?
Gerald wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead.
That'd be some cosmic irony if he suddenly appeared. I wouldn't get your panties in a twist, though. I doubt he's real.
Why don't you go check then?
Me?
Gerald gawked.
Since when does the owner have to confront the intruders? I should be the guy that this bozo wants to speak to. You gotta give me an entrance at least. The boss will see you now. No?
Well, you be speaking from a place of authority. I don't know, do something. Get assertive with the guy and tell him to screw off.
Yeah, but that's assuming he's the moonshine mage, which I highly doubt.
Ivan rubbed his thumb against his chin. After a moment of hesitation and another urgent knock, I stood. If neither of you are going to do anything, I'll head to the front and talk to him. Jesus. The two of you are a real pain in the ass sometimes, you know? Before I wandered off, I heard the cards whisper something among themselves. I couldn't quite catch the words, but they must have held some importance. If only I could remember what they said. Approaching the door made me queasy. I had no idea what to expect because there weren't any windows, no holes to peep through. But what I thought I was going to see when I opened the door was not what stood before me. It was the figure of a man, but its head levitated above its shoulder and it bore no face. The object to my astonishment was A cube. If that weren't enough, the thing spoke to me.
May I come in?
If you're real, hold up 3 fingers.
There's no time for this. There are dire matters to discuss.
I'm sorry, this is crazy. You're gonna need to explain to me who you are and what you want with us.
My identity is irrelevant to you. I'm just a messenger. Perhaps an observer. You and your men are in grave danger.
I was reluctant to let the being in, but at that moment, I felt as though I had no other choice. Well, first there were 3, and then there were 4. There was an awkward silence after we sat down with the observer. Gerald cleared his throat.
What do you drink?
It grunted.
I'm a reformed man. I didn't come here to indulge.
So you're not the moonshine mage.
I could almost see the incredulity on his blank square of a face.
What? No.
All right, well then, what exactly are you? What happens if we just don't listen to you?
I work for the library of the Unnamable. I'm not permitted to share information about it, and you're not entitled to know about our operations. I come not because I am merciful. The actions of someone at this table have upset the balance of natural order.
We stared at him in stunned silence as he continued.
It is not my place to try to reveal the culprit, but one of you has made a deal with an ancient demon. Until we carry out a ritual of my instruction, nobody is leaving this bar.
The 3 of us exchanged looks at one another. I had then realized that the playing cards were completely silent. Anybody want to fess up? Both Ivan and Gerald looked confused at me.
Joe, I have no idea what could have caused this. Fuck's sake. It could have been one of the guests with all the stuff that goes on around here. None of us are that stupid. Right?
No.
The observer interrupted.
He's sitting at this table. No matter who it is, we're sorting out the issue together. No ifs, ands, or buts from any of you.
I could tell Ivan wanted to say something, but he was cut off by an ace of spades from the sentient deck.
He who pours the drink must also consume it, even when the answer to the riddle can be a bit awkward.
The observer looked around at us.
I suppose before we have to go through this uncomfortable business, you could deal me a hand.
Gerald begrudgingly slid some of them at the observer, looking suspiciously at his black head before the game continued. While we're playing, walk us through this ritual you want to do.
I'll need a strand of hair from each of you, along with a prick of blood to bond you together against the demon. From there, we need to purify every inch of this place. Another thing.
He pointed at the doors.
We need to be totally sure that we're completely locked in here. There are going to be more of them that swarm the outside of the building. You're going to hear all manner of sounds, some of which will try to provoke you into going outside. If even one of you does, you're all dead men.
At that point in the conversation, I had little to no idea of who to trust. The weird cuboid-looking creature that could talk, the owner of a shady bar, and a gruff man that we just so happened to know. Somehow I felt that maybe I could trust the cards more than any of them because if they were on the annoying side, they spoke the truth. Well, the truth, but dressed in riddles. As long as I could make heads or tails of what the hell they were saying, they might have been my best friend at the table. I had my suspicions about both Ivan and Gerald, and the observer too, if I'm being fair. He came from nowhere and threatened to hold us hostage. Who could say that he wouldn't let a demon run loose and make it our responsibility? At least I had some history with the other 2. This guy just walks in from outside and tells us that it's dangerous to go out there. I wasn't entirely convinced that he was there to correct some kind of wrong. On the other hand, Gerald had perhaps the most to gain from a deal in black magic. Our town was notorious for backhanded dealers under the cover of night, especially made by business owners who wanted to be 3 steps ahead of their competitors. What would have stopped them from bartering for an edge over the other bars in the area? I didn't know what Ivan could possibly have to gain from making such a remarkably stupid move. Our lives were basically separate from one another, so I had nothing to go off of when it came to deciphering his interests. If I started to ask too many questions, perhaps one of them might have tried to stir artificial suspicion around me. I'm not the most reliable narrator, and I was belligerently drunk that night, but I know for a fact that I would never make a deal like that. I had to be smart about who I decided to poke and prod. So Cubehead, the observer's attention settled on me. If the three of us need to provide you with hair and blood and whatever, why doesn't the ritual require your blood too?
I'm not supposed to be here. You shouldn't even be aware of me. The ritual is between the three of you because one of you fucked up, and I have to be a referee.
That question was fair enough, but it still didn't do much to ease my nerves. I was about to ask Gerald a question, but Ivan asked him something else before I had the chance to get another word in.
I suppose business has been pretty good for you lately, hasn't it?
Well, that was a bit more direct than I was hoping it would be. Gerald looked almost offended.
Are you trying to insinuate something? I think you know I make good money. I don't need to deal with demons. I'm doing pretty well on my own, thank you very much.
I said nothing of the sort. I only made a general assertion about business.
I rolled my eyes, and so did Gerald. Maybe Ivan was trying to get to the truth like I was, but he was being a bit too on the nose. Either he was trying to naturally brush off suspicion, or he was a bumbling idiot trying to play detective. Gerald was awfully defensive about the question, though, so he was still suspect number one in my mind. If Gerald was really the one who had brought this upon us, I felt that I knew him well enough to say that he would approach the argument from an angle of incredulity. How could you say that? Or you really think I would do such a thing? That was the most damning thing to me so far, but even then, it was all I had to go off of. The observer looked at an imaginary watch on his hand and sighed.
Well, it's about time to begin the ritual.
He then reached into his pockets and pulled out a small knife and a strange bowl filled with powder. We stared with wonder.
What? You guys are wizards, right? You've never seen a rabbit come out of a hat?
Awkwardly, we each snipped small strands of hair and placed them in the bowl. The substance within had a blue tint to it, and it had the texture of sugar. After making sure the blade was clean, the observer's cube turned to Ivan.
Palm.
He hesitated, but just before he nervously offered his palm, the silence was broken.
Help!
All of us jumped. Gerald had a look of concern written all over his face.
Don't you fucking move.
How are we supposed to know it's not somebody that needs our...
The observer pointed the knife at him.
If you go out there, you'll get yourself killed. If you so much as stand up, I'll be forced to make it physical.
And do what exactly?
I'm not sure you'd be keen on knowing.
Somewhere on the other side of the building, a scratching sound began, like some massive creature, potentially larger than a bear, marking its scent.
Somebody please help me!
Ivan, give me your goddamn palm. We don't have all night.
The sound Ivan made as the blade quickly ran over his palm was enough to make me somewhat nauseous. The observer then held his hand over the bowl so that the blood could drip into the concoction. I watched with fascination as the violet glow emanated from it. Then it was Gerald's turn.
Do you really need to do the palm, or can you just prick a finger?
Oh, sure. We can do the finger.
Gerald looked relieved for a moment and then lent him his hand. The observer immediately grabbed him by the wrist and ran the knife over his palm, causing Gerald to howl out in pain.
Ah! Son of a bitch!
Rules are rules. I explained them once, and if you deviate, you find out what physical looks like.
As the drama unfolded before me, I not only braced myself for what would inevitably come, but I also realized for the second time that the cards hadn't spoken for a considerable amount of time. I knew they had said something important earlier that night, but I just couldn't remember for the life of me what it was. Gerald piped down and I extended my palm, ready for the abrupt agony. As the sharp edge of the knife split my skin, the sober part of me somewhere in the back of my brain suddenly screamed out in revelation. He who pours the first glass! The other three nearly jumped out of their skin at my outburst. Ivan glared at me with confusion.
It took you long enough.
A card called out from Gerald's hand. The cards were trying to warn us earlier. He snuck the mention of the one who pours.
And that tells us... what, exactly?
This curse is dealt by the one who pours drinks. Right as I left the table earlier, the card said to be wary of the one who leaves carnations. It didn't make much sense to me at the moment, and usually I just brush off what the cards say. but something told me that that was meant to allude to something else. Nobody leaves carnations around here, and nobody had to for the riddle to make sense. Only one of us even brought it up. I think I know who made the deal.
Just as I suspected. It was Ivan.
No, it was you.
What? Are you seriously arguing that I deal in black magic over business? How much of a hack do you think I am? And here's some food for thought. How do any of us know that it's not you?
The observer, having finished collecting my blood, began mixing the droplets together as the violet light radiated with undercurrents of red.
If he's right about his little theory, we'll see in about a minute. What I've just made is a type of salt that we will throw on everything in this place. When we do that, we'll know for sure who's lying.
Gerald held my gaze for longer than I would have liked as he continued.
You're each going to sprinkle this all around the floors.
He pulled small vessels from his pocket and handed them to us. The strange stuff had a glow to it, an otherwise out-of-place warmth that I disregarded as I methodically traced my steps. Ivan tried his best to cover every surface, but Gerald, he hesitated. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw with each gentle toss he would try to unconvincingly half-ass it. I didn't say anything yet, but I knew he was going to be a problem. I had a feeling that the observer saw that too. What did he get out of deliberately lying to us? I took him for a comrade, a true outsider like the rest of us in our arcane ways. I was more disappointed than anything, but I couldn't interrogate him on it yet. We'd have to take care of the demon first. Instinctively, I grabbed a single card from the table and pocketed it while Gerald wasn't looking. Across the room, I heard a different one pipe up out of nowhere.
Righteous ones may deceive, but a deceiver by trade will never be righteous. Be wary of tricks hidden up sleeves.
Ivan and I exchanged a look while Gerald kept up with the charade of innocence. Both of us were expecting him to pull out some kind of dastardly trick, and who could say that he wouldn't offer up our lives as a part of a bargain? From his angle, if he really was the culprit, we had him cornered logically. The evidence pointed to him. The cards don't lie when all the chips are down. If I were to be certain about anything, my conviction would be centered around his guilt. We finished laying down the salt just as something large thudded against our walls.
I'm gonna die, please help me!
All right.
The observer called us over to the center of the room.
The trap is set. I will now add a reactant, sprinkled at any point on the premises. As I do that, I will tempt the demon into revealing its summoner. Once the perpetrator is revealed, I will arrest the deceiver and banish the foul being from whence it came.
I don't know if you're going to fare very well against that thing. It sounds massive.
We are trained for these sort of things, but admittedly, this is one of the parts of the job I consciously try to avoid.
From his boundless pocket, he produced another small vial. He twisted off the cap, poured the powder on the ground before him, and began to whisper in tongues before our eyes. A white pinprick of light appeared in and among the other grains of salt, and to our amazement, the reactant moved across the floor. Slowly but surely, as the observer murmured obscured prayers and the substance sniffed its way around the bar, it eventually settled at Gerald's feet. It was then that the reactant slowly pulsed red, confirming my cemented suspicion. For a long, tense breath, we were all silent, staring into his eyes as they flickered between each of us.
By order of the library, you are under arrest for your crimes against natural law. With your hands raised, I want you to turn around and step towards—
How do you actually intend to stop me?
The mask slipped. His hand was revealed. He had nothing left to hide, and we knew it. We could hardly believe as the man we knew became a stranger in an instant.
This could have blown over a lot more smoothly if you'd just given me time to explain myself.
We don't give a damn what your plan is. This is unforgivable.
Unforgivable to who? You?
He almost looked amused.
There is nothing you can appeal to beyond your own preference to say that I shouldn't do this. His laws might as well be fairy tales.
Gerald pointed at the observer.
And your system of ideals is, well, surface level at best. There's nothing that stops me from making that deal and offering your souls as sacrifice.
Enough talk. Seize him.
As Ivan and the observer rushed forward, I recalled what the card said and my blood ran cold. be wary of tricks hidden up sleeves. I realized too late that, for once, the cards were speaking literally. In an instant, Gerald let go of the cuff of his sleeve and a sacrificial dagger slid right into his palm. That's why he was doing the bare minimum with the salt. He didn't want anyone to suspect the last-ditch option. And before anyone else had the chance to wrench it from his white-knuckle grip, he plunged it into the observer's stomach. Ivan jumped back with his hands on his head.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
As the observer collapsed to the floor, the door to the bar burst open. It wasn't one demon, nor was it an army of them. In fact, I don't even really know what I saw. I just remember the feeling, a swirling vortex of carnivorous energy, a broken sound wave that accompanied the splintering of wood. It felt like a contained blast that fractured everything. Instantly, we were overrun with this terrible presence, and I did the only thing that made sense. I ran, and I didn't look back. I couldn't tell you how far I sprinted, nor which direction on a compass I fled. It's all such a blur from the primal panic that set in after Gerald made his move. I must have slipped out the back door without being caught in the maelstrom of torment. I don't know if the same could be said for Ivan. All I heard were fervent screams of terror in that wicked fray. And as for Gerald, I can only hope that the hurricane of damned souls claimed him too. Because if he survived that, no, if he controls that horrible river of violence, he knows that I know too much. I can't fathom how this happened, even as I write this now, still in a state of shock. I asked the card in my pocket one more crucial question that was on the tip of my tongue. How? How did you know?
We see everything that goes on in that place.
So you can talk normally?
I always could, but not around him. He knew what we saw. He threatened us by throwing one of us into the fireplace. The other few of our deck were torn to shreds right before our very eyes. We couldn't tell you this was coming, but we could leave you breadcrumbs. Gerald was anticipating that much, but he was banking on the two of you being too stupid to figure out the riddles.
So, it was always in plain sight?
Sorry to say, but yeah, truth was always right under your noses.
Is the deck a hive mind?
Well, yes and no, but trending more to the yes side.
What do you see over there at the bar?
Not much. There's a lot of shattered glass and the cards were blown all over the place. But there aren't any bodies. Gerald's not there. But neither is Ivan, or even the observer. I reckon this is far from over, kid. Far from over.
I looked off thoughtfully before I spoke. I think I know exactly who can help us.
Oh yeah? Who?
I think you know exactly who I'm talking about.
You're not serious, are you? It was a rumor at best. A mage so drunk on power is but a fable. You'll never find him.
I don't see any other choice. Why don't you come with me? Keep me some company on this journey.
If I decline, you're picking me up anyway and stuffing me in your pocket. So by process of elimination, I'm just going to say yes.
Smart cookie. Now let's go. We don't have much time.
Oh, brings a tear to my eye. That was an absolutely hilarious read. Truly a classic in my collection. What? You don't seem particularly amused. I thought a comical tale might raise your spirit a bit. You don't have to pretend to like it now that I brought up your lukewarm reception. Look, I get it. This one didn't have the existential weight of the first one. I can't draw much inspiration from philosophers when it comes to the utter tomfoolery of this story. The spice of life is variety. Since you're so dry and boring, perhaps next time you pick out another story, because I guess my taste just isn't good enough for you. Anywho, I have some prep work to attend to. Top secret stuff you may or may not care about, but nothing I'm readily able to divulge. It seems this will be another matter for the library to sort out. Goodbye for now, traveler. I'll be seeing you again very soon.